Well, the first thing is that it's very understandable why President Obama is describing this as a hostage crisis. The irony is that we routinely do negotiate with hostage takers. I've had the privilege of interviewing the founder of the New York Police Department hostage negotiation team, and he'll tell you that you can do it quite readily, and they've had a history of saving hundreds of lives through engagement. And that's the irony, is that conversation is not capitulation.
So John Boehner's right that the president, I mean, look, they're talking now, they started talking yesterday, but is that to say that Boehner has been right all week long, and Cantor too, that the president needs to sit down and start talking?
Well, I wouldn't put it quite that way, because in truth they have been negotiating. They've been taking strong positions, and in the same sense, negotiators who are dealing with hostage takers don't give the plane to let the other guy go to Cuba, but they are willing to listen and learn and talk about process.
You genuinely think they're listening and learning to one another?
That's what I would hope, and I think in the last few days we've seen some vague signs of that.
What is giving you that symbol?
Well, just in the last 48 hours, we've seen actual face-to-face conversation, and of course we'll never know until weeks later what exactly went on in those rooms, maybe longer. But that's at least a hopeful sign in the middle of what I find is a very concerning situation generally.
Well, we all share that concern. You're analyzing this from a nonpartisan standpoint, which is great. Through that lens, did the Republican Party, and the Tea Party in particular, within the Republican Party, err by putting Obamacare on the table?
I think many in their own caucus are starting to feel that way, and I think that's because many from outside of the caucus itself are pressing them and saying, this is a loser, we've got to get out of this.
No, but from a different standpoint, this is the president's signature political initiative. His name, if you will, is on the bill. Was it a mistake to make that the issue, given how important it is to the guy on the other side of the table?
Not necessarily. You can be the loyal and principled opposition, and Republicans and Democrats have fought on major issues for centuries. That's not the issue. The question is whether the particular strategy they chose was a wise one. It looks like, as things are unfolding, it was a very bad one.
Then when the president says, and he has said, I'm not going to negotiate, what does he really mean?
What I think that means is he's not going to make explicit formal concessions on issues that he feels are a principled non-starter. For example, I will not formally give you permission to start the government. I will not formally give concessions in return for, direct return for opening the government.
I feel like you're word dancing with me. What does that mean?
I think that means that he is not prepared. Well, that's in a sense what the negotiation process is. That's the irony, is that he has been negotiating, even though he is not saying he's negotiating. And that may be an attempt to placate his base, which he needs to do.
Well, speaking of which, in a situation like this where you have constituents and you have to pay attention to public opinion polls, is the president doing the right thing? The polls are going against the Republicans and in his favor. Do you play your strong hand if that's what you've got?
I think you do, but you do it with softness. Churchill said magnanimity in victory, and one of the things that Kennedy emphasized right on at the end of the Cuban Missile Crisis was that you let us not look like we are gloating. If it looks like indeed we are winning in this case, and it looks like the Obama administration has something of a winner on its hands, the last thing I'd want to see them do is go like fist pumping.
Arsenio Hall style.
Exactly.